Hey everyone, welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to talk about simplifying fractions. Please make sure you watch the other videos on equivalent fractions because that is a skill that you're going to need in order to understand simplifying fractions. Now, here's an example you might come across where it says, simplify the following fraction. We're going to talk about what that actually means and what they want you to do. Another place you might find this is like if you have, add these two fractions and simplify if necessary. We're going to talk about that in the future about, simplify if necessary, but that ties into this lesson as well. So you'll add the fractions and you then have to simplify. So what does simplifying fractions mean? That's what this lesson is about. So here it says simplify the fraction 3/6. What does that word actually mean? What does simplify actually mean? Basically, it just means to find an equivalent fraction with smaller numbers. Right? We talked about equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions are fractions that are, represent the same information, but they look different. So here's 3/6. We can draw this out. All right, we're going to draw it out. 3/6. All right, I'm going to shade in three of them. So 1, 2, 3. And now if we look at it, what fraction does that represent? What fraction can we say we can use to represent that information as well? All right, let's think about it for a bit. Isn't that half, right? It's the same as 1/2. So we can say that 1/2 is the same as 3/6, right? We learned this in the equivalent fractions video. So that means if we want to simplify 3/6, we can just say 3/6 is the same as 1/2. And that's what it means to simplify. We're finding an equivalent fraction, but with smaller numbers, right? 1 is smaller than 3, and then 2 is smaller than 6. So that's why it's called simplifying, because it looks like it's easier than simpler than the previous fraction, but they still represent the same information. That's the the trick with equivalent fractions. So if we want, we can write a sentence. We can write a sentence and say that 1/2 is the simpler form of 3/6. All right, let's try another example of simplifying fractions. Yeah, it's pretty simple. You're just looking for another fraction, except that it has to be equivalent with these smaller looking numbers. So simplify. Let's go with 2/8, right? Here's 2/8. Let's do that. Here's the definition there. Simplify 2/8. So one thing we can do is start off by drawing 2/8. So let's see, here's circle, 2/8. It's 4. Divide each one by 2. We're going to shade in 2 of them. So yeah, let's look at the picture. What other fraction can we say represents this information? Couldn't we say that 2/8 is the same as 1/4, right? They're the same size, same information. So we in fact can say that. So to simplify 2/8, we can rewrite, instead of using 2/8, we use 1/4. So 1/4 is the simpler version. Simpler form of 2/8. So again, that's all simplifying fractions means. Find a fraction that is small with smaller numbers, but that it's still equivalent. Maybe you could do one more. I think you got the hang of it. Remember, try these examples out after the video is over, or pause the video before to get some practice in. Yeah, this video is mostly just to understand the idea of equivalent fractions. We'll talk about how to find equivalent fractions, of much more complicated fractions later on. Let's simplify. Let's go with 3/9. So here's 3/9. We want to simplify. That means we want to find an equivalent fraction with smaller looking numbers. And we see that would be here 1, 2, 3. And what fraction is a simplified version of that? Well, you can use this one here, 1/3. That means that 1/3 is a simplified version of 3/9. 1/3 is the simplified form, or the simpler form, of 3/9. In the next video, we're going to talk about how to find, how to simplify fractions that are much more complicated, that you can't really draw a picture out of. Remember, these models are here so we can get a clear, visual understanding of what it means to simplify. Eventually, we remove the models, and then we look at other techniques to solve the same types of problems. But I like to do area models to start off because it lets students, see exactly what's going on with a visual representation of it. In the next video, we're going to talk about how to simplify fractions, larger and much more complicated fractions using the GCF method, the greatest common factor method, and then also using prime factorization. Those are a lot faster and will simplify much more larger and complicated looking fractions. But please do these again for more practice. And just remember, simplifying means find me another fraction with smaller looking numbers, right? But find me a fraction that is equivalent. Again, if that helped, please give this video a like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.